discussions on the track.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? This is Case Study QB, and this is the pre-show, so I'm going to get started straight at 8. But I wanted to go straight into the pre-show and talk to you all about the status quo clip that I think is a lot of father that we could talk about here. And by the way, anybody who, if you want to, we might stop and go this clip, right? Because there's a lot to kind of digest. So if you guys want to stop it, guys, and talk about certain things in this clip, definitely I encourage that. All right, go ahead, Bendo.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear it, bro.
No sound.
No audio.
Nope. Pop the trunk.
Oh, wait. I tried to mute my mic so you guys don't hear me, and I muted the whole thing.
Here we go.
Here at the Trump rally in Austin, some pro-choice folks just showed up. You're pretty animated a second ago. I just want to give you a chance to explain your position and where you are on it.
When they were pushing, my body, my choice, but yet they were pushing vaccine mandates, and nobody's banning abortions. The law is just going to go back to the state if it's overturned. So, nobody's banning anything.
So the one thing I will say is here in Texas, there is a trigger law. So in Texas, abortions in all cases will become illegal if this goes through.
Be.
So you think it should be illegal?
It should be illegal. All the way. Yeah.
Fully. No exceptions?
No exceptions.
No exceptions for even incest or rape or anything like that?
No.
Gotcha. So you mentioned the mandates and things like that. The one kind of criticism that folks will give of the Republican Party and on this issue is that the Republican Party is supposed to be the small government party, right? In general, wanting small government.
I believe in small government. I believe in very few government, actually.
Right. Yep. So why do you think then, in this case, that the government should be getting involved in telling women what they can do?
I really don't want the government involved in anything, but
it's a tricky one, right? Because it sounds like you want them to be involved in saying that it's not okay.
But these people don't know even what they're fighting for, so they're just shouting for no reason, basically. Nobody's banning anything. Like, it's up to the states. It should be.
Right.
If you want to, then do it. If you don't, then don't. There's going to be abortion sanctuaries all across the country, so somebody wants to do it, then go do it.
And that sentiment is real. Like there are going to be plenty of states where it will be legal. The tricky situation, though, is that it's going to affect low-income women who can't travel to those places, and rich women will be able to do whatever they want to because they can travel.
That's not true, though.
How would a low-income woman in Austin travel to a state where abortion is legal if she needed
it? I'm sure there's grants for that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I don't know.
Yo, so you hear the ignorance of this statement, right? So this guy's talking about, like, I'm sure there's grants for that. How do you know if there's grants for that? How that's like a typical white person. I'm sorry, it might sound racist or whatever, but it's like a typical white male mentality where you don't even have any empathy for what's going on right now, right? If you had empathy, you would listen to what the reporter, and not all white males, let me not generalize everybody, because the reporter was a white male, and what he said was, hey, what about the poor people who can't travel to other states? Like, just think about you in any state. How hard is it to go from, unless you're at the edges of the states, it's going to take time for you to go from one state to another, and then that's going to cost money, and then the cost of how much is the actual abortion is going to cost or whatever when you get there. It just went through his mind, and he said, I'm sure there's grants for that. How do you know?
There aren't. I doubt there are going to be government grants for this, but there are organizations for people who are really in need. Even right now, today, there are organizations that will help fund those types of things. But it's like Carlito always says on the show, like we shouldn't be putting the onus on charity organizations to do the work of what the government should already be allowing.
Actually, and I just thought of something. There is a law at the federal level that you can't give taxpayer dollars to, I think it's called the Hyde Amendment. You can't give taxpayer dollars towards abortion. So that right there, and is a famously Republican amendment that they always push. The Democrats, they say they're going to get rid of it or whatever, that they use it as a cultural, as they use it many different things, and say they'll get rid of it. But the Hyde Amendment prevents that from happening. So grants are not, at least at the federal level, it's not going to go down. But we could continue.
Case, real quick, are we going to talk? I don't know if you heard about the news about Starbucks offering to their employees, like respite, like I guess days off. I don't know if they're also offering paid leave, but for people who need to go get abortions and also transgender affirming surgeries. Have you heard about this?
No, I did not hear about that, but it sounds like the pressure of unionization is working, because I've seen that in other examples where just the pressure of a union is causing that company to come out with these benefits.
Yep, exactly. That was exactly my thought. Like, okay, great that you're offering it. I have no problem with that. But are you just trying to get something in, something good in the news cycle because of all the negative news you're facing?
So an example of that real quick before we go to the video is that Delta Airlines, did you guys even know that the flight attendants do not get paid while they are boarding you onto the flight?
Yeah,
they don't get
that's every airline though,
right?
Yeah, that's that's every
that's every airline. Okay, I thought it was just Delta.
No.
But I know Delta is one of the only flight attendants aren't unionized, and they say until they close the door, that's when they start getting paid. But because there is a threat of the flight attendants unionizing right now, they came out that they are going to pay the flight attendants. Just let you all know that money. All right, let's play the video.
No, but that's not a good thing that we don't know, because it should be pretty obvious if they're about to lose their right there. I don't know.
Well, Planned Parenthood was helping.
He's saying that abortion saves lives.
Right.
How?
Right. I guess one final question for you, and I'll let you give your answer as well too.
Go ahead, sorry. Look, he was, so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
One final question for you. So if we should be carrying babies to term, what happens with mothers who can't afford to, they're having an abortion because they're in a tough financial situation? We've got a backlog of kids in the foster care system right now. What's the solution there?
Don't open your legs. There's other forms of contraception other than abortion. Abortion should not be your number one choice for contraception.
Right. All right.
There's condoms. There's things for women. There's abstinence.
Yep.
There's anal.
Yep.
Wow.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to.
Wow.
Yo, I wonder how much this guy gets. But anyway, this dude, I'm telling you, is just that mentality of not having any kind of empathy at all, and just throwing out all these different, like, it's that easy. Like, I swear, I think men should not vote on women issues like abortion. Like, they will never know what it feels like to have an abortion. They'll never die from giving birth. That's just my personal opinion. What you guys think?
What's scary though is that like with the way this country is right now, do you honestly think that the Republican women in Congress wouldn't vote against abortion right now too? And so that
they do.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So, like, I agree men shouldn't be voting on this, but we have plenty of Republican conservative women they're going to vote the same way that men do. And do we outnumber them? I'm not really sure. We may, but I don't know.
You have that one in the Supreme Court. So
I'm gonna get canceled. I disagree. I think it's okay for men, knowledgeable men, to vote on this. The same way that Izzy doesn't have kids, but he understands the importance of public education, and he'll vote for, in a good way, in my opinion, regarding, the way they tax, property taxes for schools or things like that, or the way they shouldn't do that, let's say. So just because you don't have kids, if it's something, it's still part of your community. The same, even though you might not get pregnant yourself, you still know women, love women, that you care about their independence, their well-being, their health, etc. So
gotcha. Good point. And you did give a good point, Izzy. So I might have to retract my thoughts on that. I don't know how that would be implemented anyway. Like, do you literally have laws that men and women can vote on? And another thing is that a male could say, like, I'm not going to vote on what I believe. I'm voting my constituents, because that's what they're supposed to be anyway. They're supposed to be representatives, which encompass male and female. So I
mean, I get where the argument comes from. I hear it all the time. I'm not even necessarily opposed to it. If I was a woman, I'd probably be saying the same thing. You know, especially with all the anger and the frustration with the way this country is run. But you know, it's not. I think in this case, it doesn't really come down to man or woman. It just comes down to left or right. You know, conservative or not, religious or not, even especially religious, because this is a religious law, and there's no need for religion to be running our law system.
And the challenge there is that it's a religious law that's made by man. If you look at the Bible, there's nowhere that says that abortion should be illegal. In fact, in many cases, it says that the abortion is the preferred solution if the life of the mother is at danger, and especially in Jewish texts and in Muslim texts, very similar. So it's one of those things where it is. We have to stop blaming it on religion. It's really that they want to control women's bodies, being conservatives. They want to control women's bodies. They want women to be in the home, and they ignore statistics. Like when you look at things like contraception, sex education, all these things lower abortions. If the goal is to lower abortions, you have to follow these things that do actually statistically lower abortions. The states that have the highest level of pregnancy and teen pregnancy are the Republican states, where abstinence is the only thing that's taught in schools. So until conservatives and Republicans really decide that they want to follow statistics, we're not going to solve the problem, or they're not going to solve it without doing they think they're solving the problem, but they're not solving it. They're just creating 10 more.
Yeah, I want to say real quick, I do agree with you, Gabe, you know, in terms of the other religions you mentioned, but when it comes to Christianity and these Christians, they're 100% citing their religion. You know, like I get that Judaism doesn't necessarily think the same way, and maybe not even Muslims, I'm not really sure, but when it comes to I mean, I don't know where in the Bible it says you should or shouldn't, but this is 100% driven by radical Christians.
Yeah, but like not even that, but like when you look at it, who's the one that putting this white male in office is white women. They are the one that showing up to vote in masses and continue to vote for these people that they still believe in, you know, their Christianity, believe that abortion and stuff like that. So a lot of time, we sit here and we're like, well, man, shouldn't be voting on this and stuff. But women are the ones that are coming out to vote for this man, to put him in office, to be able to.
You can't say women are the ones. I mean, everybody.
No. I'm not saying. I'm saying when you look at it, when you look at statistically, like white women, what are they voting for? So
white
when you
women,
look at it,
across the country, I mean, it depends on the area. Like if they're in Alabama, yeah, they're voting for abortion, you know, opponents. But if you look in California, it's a whole different story. That doesn't. You can't generalize white women are the ones that are causing this problem.
No, I'm talking about when you're putting out those people and these Republicans, who are you think is voting for them? Like we're saying,
all the Republicans.
Exactly, but all the Republicans, but a lot of the women's are voting for these people. So you can't tell me like, oh no, women's are not voting for these guys in those areas.
I don't think anybody's saying that.
All right, let's move on. I don't know if anybody have anything else to say significantly. We got 2 minutes left. And I got an impromptu no calzone because you know what? Let's wait till we start the show because
about to do a no calzone in a minute. Come on now.
What you said?
I said you're about to do a no calzone in 1 minute.
That's exactly. So I'm not gonna I'm gonna wait till we start the show. Matter of fact, you know what? It's about to be 8 o'clock. Bendo, let's get the music up. Chat. Yeah. All right, 8 o'clock, show started. What's going on, everybody? We got our man Gabe is back. Gabe is back, baby. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? This is Case Study QB, and we are the Political Junkies. I'm here laid up, so don't mind me. But I made it to the basement. Got my peoples, Carlito, John, Gabe, Bendone, Izzy. Let's go around the horn and say what's up to the people. Carlito, how you doing?
Yo, I'm doing all right. And I want to show my flag.
Yeah.
In the
Let
back.
people know where you from, baby. Where your heritage is from.
There was a comment after last week's show saying, "Why is this black dude using the Latino accent? Is he trying to virtue signal or pander?" I wanna show que lo que.
Yeah,
For
let them
real.
know.
Platanos in the house.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
That's right. That's right. Let them know, bro. John, how you doing, my man?
It's good. It's Monday.
Let's do it. Gabe is back, baby.
What's up,
Gabe?
No, I got inspired. I saw last week's episode. I said I got to come back out here and keep you guys in line. So make a quick stop in appearance.
I'm gonna be calling you on real soon for this No Cow Zone impromptu No Cow Zone. Mendoza's in the background. Much love to you. I don't know if you want to say anything, but let's go to Izzy. What's up, Izzy?
I'm good. I'm happy Gabe is back, and I'm just I don't know, shaking my head. I don't know. We'll see where this goes.
You are not. You stop lying. Why you're not happy Gabe is back?
So I said a little bit of both. A little bit of both. He's my boy, but you know.
So this is what's going on. I got beef with John.
Oh,
John and I have been going back and forth. And
what
I
else
think
is new?
some other people. You guys speak up if you got, because I don't know exactly who is on John's side or who's on my side.
Oh my God, here we go.
So Gabe, I want to get your opinion on this, right? My idea for the next the person, there's going to be a progressive primary in Biden. There's going to be somebody doing it. But my strategy is that person should come out, or one of the strategies is to come out and say, hey, because of the gridlock, you got Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, all these people preventing the progressive agenda from going forward. So this is what I'm going to do. Where I can do executive orders, I'm going to do executive orders. So forgiving student loan debt, the pandemic's still going on. So you can say I'm going to give Medicare for all during the pandemic, etc. Gabe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that should have been done day one, day two. Okay. We have all these executive orders that could have been done.
That's not the question.
He said, "What would you do?"
The question.
That is the question.
He said, "What would you do now?"
The question is, he wants candidate to run an executive order. What do you think about that? A strategy. That's his number one strategy.
Candidates running on executive order. We need Biden to do executive orders before we can run on it. They're gonna go, "Why haven't you done it already?"
All right, hold on. Let me make sure I'm clear, Gabe. Let me make sure I'm clear. All right. So let's say Nia Turner might run, or let's say Marianne Williamson runs, right? And she's running against Biden in the primary. She's going to literally say, join her run. She's on MSNBC. She's on Fox News. Wherever she goes, she's saying, hey, I'm going to do these 3 or 2, whatever it is, 3, because you could take marijuana off Schedule 1.
Right now.
Yeah. So that's a third one. So those 3 things that I mentioned, Medicare for student loan forgiveness, and let's just go with those 3. I'm not even saying to go crazy, and there's a lot more that you can do, but I'm saying to run on it. Let's say those 3 things as a strategy. What do you think, Gabe?
Absolutely. I think that it's a winning strategy. And if the goal is to win, yes, it's a good strategy. If the goal is to push President Biden to try to do it sooner, it's a good strategy. It's a win-win strategy. The worst thing that happens is he undercuts them and does it sooner. And if he doesn't do it, it's going to hurt him for the actual primary.
Okay, so the John, strategy is to run an executive order. So it's like, I'm going to do everything via executive order. That's the strategy. Not I'm going to
those 3 things
you can.
Those things.
Those 3 things, yeah. And of course, there's other things you can run off. So, for example, Elizabeth Warren, she said I had a plan for that. She came up with a plan for various things throughout her campaign. Yeah, so there's other things you can do outside of the executive orders. You could promise like what you're going to do, what you're going to fight for, but as a strategy, because, and I might be able to play the clip later. I watched the clip today where they talk about how black people, the black community is disenfranchised by the lack of being able to fulfill campaign promises. And part of that, I would say that part of that is not Biden's fault, at least on the outside looking in. On the inside, he might be secretly working with Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin for all I know. I don't know. But on the outside, he's really being thwarted by those people. But if we say, hey, these are the order we're going to do, then you could actually fulfill your promise by yourself when you get into office. Go ahead, John.
But also, they ran Biden as the candidate that could go across the aisle. I know we want to focus only on Cinema and Joe Manchin and always want to place the blame on those two, but they ran on he's electable. He could work with the other side of the aisle. He's friend with Mitch McConnell, and he has not gotten one Republican to do anything. It's just like, yes, we focus here all on Cinema and Joe Manchin, but there's other 50 Republicans, and he can't even get one of them to cross the aisle. So what do you, that's what they ran on. They told us vote for this guy because he could bring Washington back and working together. And
you're not going to have me defend Joe Biden on this show. So
no, I'm
keep
not.
it moving. I hear your point.
You can defend what you want. You can defend what you want, but you just say that's the truth. Those are facts.
I agree with you. I don't care about Joe Biden. I don't need to even talk about him. Unless you're saying that Marianne Williamson should run against working with the Republicans. Is that what you're saying? Like, hey, those people like if Marianne Williamson said, hey, you have Joe Biden, who is a moderate, and even the Republicans couldn't vote for help him out, get some votes. I'm definitely not going to try to get these Republican votes. Is that maybe that's a strategy? I might agree with if that's what you're trying to say.
No. I wasn't saying that. I was just saying that we always, you say that you can't blame that you don't know if Biden is working in the inside and that you don't know what's happening. We always put the blame on Joe Manchin and Cinema. We get it because those are the two Democrats, but they ran Biden as the candidate that could work across the aisle, and we haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, like water is wet. That guy's, we're not gonna get anything from Gabe. You want to say something, and then we're gonna go to a video clip, and then I'm gonna first Gabe, then I'm gonna shout out the chat, and then we're gonna go to the video. Go ahead, Gabe.
Nice. I was gonna shout out the chat here. Rafael Rodriguez said the Republicans are never gonna work. No, the first one he said, can we just say that Joe Manchin is a Republican? I've been saying this for months. Is that this idea of a Democratic big tent does more harm than good? It gives us a false sense of security, like we're gonna pass stuff, and we go, oh well, if we just have our 51 votes, we're gonna pass everything, and we see that we probably need 60 votes just to pass stuff that requires 51, and we have to stop calling them Democrats. We have to put them under censure, or put them under all these things that we can do to take them out of the Democratic Party. There's no, with this Roe versus Wade, like at what point is this the last straw? Get them out. They couldn't help us codify Roe versus Wade. We have to get them out of the Democratic Party. Say you could either be independent or you could be Republican, whatever you want to be, but you are no longer a Democrat in good standing. And now we can focus on filling those positions and getting them out with the same effort that they use to get progressives out and to fight progressives. We have to fight them with that same effort.
100%. All right, let me shout out the chat. Rafael Rodriguez, Calvin Ruiz, Cheryl Patrick, Paul Patrick, PJ Chris is in the building. Much love to everybody. Miguel H again. All right, let's go to Robert Wilson. What's up to you, Robert? And Will Pilgrim. What's up? All right, let's go to the video.
Squad, maybe getting a new member, are Tremaine Lee, talking with Pennsylvania congressional candidate Summer Lee, who's running in this newly drawn 12th district, Democrat versus Democrat for this open seat. Lee is a progressive. She's been endorsed by Bernie Sanders, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She backs the Green New Deal and Medicare for All. Her competition is a moderate, Steve Irwin, who worked for big-name PA Democrats like former Governor Ed Rendell. Here's more from Tremaine.
In the final sprint to a crucial primary, Summer Lee is rallying supporters and rolling out a big endorsement from progressive heavyweight Senator Bernie Sanders.
We need members of Congress who have the guts to stand up for working families.
She's taking on establishment Democrats to run for an open congressional seat in Western Pennsylvania. If elected, she'll be the first Black woman sent to Congress from Pennsylvania and the first person of color ever to represent the district.
We're going to call every voter that we can get a hold of because we got to give them the good news of that better world that we're building.
The race, now a proxy fight over Democratic Party ideals and loyalty, with progressives like Sanders and squad members Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ayanna Pressley aligning with Lee. And on the other side, the Democratic machine, powerful party leaders, and a super PAC that's spending millions of dollars on attack ads calling Lee its loyal.
What is a Democrat? Is a Democrat somebody who is registered B? Is it somebody who has turned out and gotten elected other Democrats? Or is it just white men? Because if it's the former, then I have all of those credentials. If it's the latter, I can't ever be that one.
In 2018, the now 34-year-old activist and former organizer famously won a seat in the State House by ousting a longtime Democrat. Since then, Leah's gained traction and support, backing progressive policies like a Green New Deal and Medicare for All.
This movement is getting bigger. It is getting stronger every single March.
Lee aims to fill the seat vacated by Democrat Mike Doyle, who's retiring after 25 years in Congress. But Doyle and Pennsylvania's powerful Democratic Party are backing Steve Irwin, a white Pittsburgh lawyer who's worked for Democrats for 3 decades, but who's never held elective office.
Steve Irwin, he's a doer who'll get things done.
I'm Steve Irwin, and I'm proud to approve this message.
Do you see the Democratic Party at a crossroads of sorts?
Yes. We have to choose which master we're going to serve. We can't be the party of corporate America and the party of poor and working class people, of working families.
Constitutional law professor Jerry Dickinson, another Black Democrat in the 5-way primary, says this election is all about the future.
I think a lot of folks in this region are saying it is time for one generational change. Summer Lee, I think, is far more polarizing and divisive in her approach. She's much more of an activist, and I come to this as a consensus builder, as a coalition builder.
And for Summer Lee, the stakes are clear.
What are you in this for?
Very simple. To build power for poor and working class people and for Black and brown people. That's it.
Our Tremaine Lee reporting there. Our thanks to you.
Yeah, build power for poor and the Black and brown communities. That's what I'm talking about. So I just want to show this clip because this is the next big fight. You know, we also have John Fetterman, who's running for the Senate in the PA against what's that guy, Connor Lamb, and he's winning. We're winning right now. So first, I want you, if anybody have any comment on this, and then I'm going to bring up a no call zone topic. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that they clowned the dude by showing him playing the accordion, but that was his own ad. Like he did that to himself. Like you shot yourself in the foot on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it looks so corny to me. And then he's saying somebody that could get things done, but we know he's a moderate. So his version of that is the bipartisan, infrastructure bill that
he's gonna reach across the aisle.
Yeah, I know, right? That basically privatized, the road. So now you gotta get more tolls. And then they're going to jack up the tolls. So it's just crazy. So this is the no cow zone topic. All right. So no cow zone, no cancel zone. I want to ask you guys, and we kind of talked about, and this is going to be a sub question, actually. Let me give you the first question. Are you upset that John Fetterman is not using the term progressive? It was a clip that I didn't clip it for this show right now, but John Fetterman, he endorsed Bernie Sanders back in 2016. I don't know if he did it in 2020, but he was asked specifically, hey, do you consider yourself a progressive? And he dodged the question, but he's winning. So what do you guys think about that?
Did he say what he wants to be called instead? Do you know?
No, he didn't say what he wants to be called. He said he wanted to be called a Democrat. He's like, that's from what I remember. That's what he said.
I mean, the policies are correct.
Okay,
that's all I care.
But
that's all that matters, right?
But we know that we know that the Republican Party and the establishment have taken the word progressive and put it whatever they want. When they running against someone that's progressive, they're socialist, and then when they come in some other. So I agree with that approach. Don't use the term. Just stay with the policy, and that's probably going to work because
he's for Medicare for all. So it's literally. Go ahead.
I don't really agree with the approach because we can't just let other people label us and take over, our terms and just use them however they feel like it, But in the grand scheme of things, if the policies are right, I don't care what he calls himself. But I do, in general, I don't want people just to label me and just call me, progressive is a dirty word all of a sudden,
Now, this is the sub question because this is where I'm getting at too. Should leftists, like all of us, continue to claim the word progressive?
Yeah, I don't think I'm at the point now where it's like every time I say progressive, just for me alone, I kind of like it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It's a dirty word already. I agree with John. It's already been too littered, and I don't identify with it anymore at this point. I feel.
Progressive is the new liberal. Before you would be a liberal, and now we look at liberals like Hillary Clinton. Now progressive is that new thing. It's been taken. The Progressive Caucus made a joke of it when they put Nina Turner's primary in the Progressive Caucus, her opponent in the Progressive Caucus, like 2 days before Nina announced her run or whatever that was. We have allowed Progressive to lose its power, and I have no problem with John avoiding that.
So what's the new term then?
Who needs a label?
I say
common sense Democrat. You're a common sense Democrat because all of our policies are common sense economically, common sense socially, common sense everything. When you look at the numbers, they're right, and when you look at the effect on humans, it's right. So, how are you going to argue against that?
How's that? That's not a little long. Common sense. I mean, first of all, Democrats already dirty too, even before liberal, and then saying common sense Democrats. Okay, so you're like a
This is my thing, Carlito. So I agree with what everybody said, because watching Fox News, I get clips from there and I post it on Case Study QB account, and I see how they use the word for progressive. Like they use the word progressive really for neoliberal and for liberals. Like, but they're using the term progressive because they want to sully the name progressive. Like when you have candidates going out throughout the community, especially and trying to get the vote from the right, if they could get the vote from a right-wing person, they're going to be watching the Fox News that they're like programmed to, oh, you're a progressive, CRT, or all those other cultural wars, which me personally, I don't even really identify with. Like, to me, progressive, or my type of progressive, is about Medicare for all, forgiving student loan debt, legalizing marijuana, all of those type of general broad issues, and not these low to the ground, like cultural war issues that the Republicans are so good at demonizing.
So what is it? You just call we're gonna be with the real Democrats, and then call the other the fake ones.
I mean, I go out like every time I talk to somebody, I'm a leftist. To me, I'm a leftist. Like that's what I say. And you could ask me how far left, and we could talk about policies, and But to me, I'm a leftist, and I feel, especially in this country, I'm for the most part as far left as you can get. I mean, not fully, but what I wanted to say to Gabe's comment, you could easily see how quickly that common sense Democrat thing, that'll just be adapted by the Democrats. They're just going to be like, well, we want common sense policies. What about our policies is not common? It's just going to get easily adapted by them. So it's tough either way.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to go, unless there's anything else anybody else wants to say, we are going to go to
I love that. I love that.
You got to put the Dominican flag in the background of that case.
That's true. That's true.
Real quick, can we go to Raphael's comment? He is on fire today.
Go ahead.
Oh man, he is preaching. They co-opt our terms, so we should call them what they actually are. The Republicans. Oh, that's fire. I don't even have to say anything. It just stands on its own. All right, sorry.
Nah, no worries.
All right, let me see. Let's do the screen share. I don't even want to do it, Bedon, because then it's gonna. I don't know how to. I have to switch back and forth, so then show everybody afterwards.
Yeah. So we should probably have somebody help you out with the articles. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so this is the first article that.
All right. So first article. Nick Estes. Indian boarding schools were part of horrific genocidal process carried out by the U.S. This is at democracynow.org. So this is a video, but the transcript is available at the bottom. The Interior Department has documented the deaths of more than 500 indigenous children at Indian boarding schools run or supported by the federal government in the United States, which operated from 1819 to 1969. The actual death toll is believed to be far higher, and the report located 53 burial sites at former schools. The report was ordered by the first Indigenous Cabinet member, Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, I don't know how to pronounce it, whose grandparents were forced to attend boarding school at the age of 8. It's kind of a misnomer to actually call the educational institutions or schools themselves when they didn't have very many people graduating, let alone surviving the dire conditions of those schools, said Nick Estes. historian and co-founder of the Red Nation. Estes says that institutions were part of a genocidal process of dispossession and theft of indigenous peoples' lands and resources. Now, when I heard this, I was like, man, like genocide, that might be kind of harsh, but you know, there's like a international definition for genocide, which part of it includes forcibly transferring of children from one group to another group. Uh, basically to dwindle the race for one. But another reason that they were doing it was to keep the Native Americans docile. We're going to take your kids if you don't do what we say. Now, it's great that this report was done by having, there's no coincidence that having the first indigenous person there in the Department of Interior, in charge that this was done. But will Native Americans get reparations after this acknowledgement from the government, you think, Case?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to give a shout out to Leah in the chat. She said, I want to thank Carlito for bringing this up as a now former wife of a Navajo and resident to the res. Yeah, much love to you, Aaliyah. And this is one of the benefits of having representation in government, right? You have Deb Haaland, who's the Secretary of the Interior, and she's able to represent her people. And this is where I gladly accept nepotism, right? I wish that we had people of the Black Congressional Caucus would go over there and truly represent Black people, which we know a lot of times unfortunately they do not. So I was watching the video and I heard one of the testaments was they said they used to put the kids in tubs and they used to scrub their skin with brushes so hard that it would rub their skin raw. That's one of the things like torture that they would do. And they ran it like a prisoner of war camp. That's one of the two things because one of the person in charge of it was a general. So it's just truly disgusting. And I'm so glad that somebody was able to go in there and expose this. If Deb Haaland never, and she was considered one of the progressive people getting into the cabinet, if she was never put in that position, would we have this report coming out? So kudos to her.
Great. But, given that the Interior Department is the same organization that was running the so-called schools,
yeah,
can we trust that they're going to really investigate everything deeply and find, do anything about it?
Time will tell. She's in charge of it, and she's the one that took this first step, right? So that's right there. We know that they're going in the right direction. Now, how far would they go? That's the question. How much is she going to play the game? That's the question that we should be wondering. But just for this coming out into the public, I think that's a huge deal.
Cool. All right, let's get to the next article. Florida adds another publisher to elementary math textbook list, pulling it from reject list. With only one authorized publisher, educators fear that Accelerate Learning will be unable to meet demand in Florida, home to some of the nation's largest school districts, by Ana Goñi-Lezan at the Tallahassee Democrat. Now, as you guys know, Florida had all this fake CRT, investigation into textbooks, and in order to ban them. But it was a coincidence, you could say, that the one company that was left is a company that was that is owned by the Carlyle Group, which happened to be the company that Glenn Youngkin in Virginia was a part of before he ran for Congress. Coincidence? What you think, John?
Oh, not coincident at all. Like also, this was one of the points I definitely was going to bring up. I know there was some rumors out there, right, that was talking about Youngkin going out and campaigning for all these Republicans, and especially like in Florida, right? I think we all kind of know that he may have some eye on 2024 or some running mate with DeSantis or something, but yeah, they were talking about inside deals where they would make that Accelerated Learning, the company, to be the only one that Florida gets books from. So it's just corruption at its best, and it's right there, right? Like they know that Youngkins and DeSantis became buddy, and now they're using a company that's basically owned by his previous firm, which he co-founded. So I'm sure he's still making money out of it.
So the article says, after rejecting dozens of math textbooks this month for containing prohibited topics that included references to critical race theory, the Florida Department of Education left public elementary schools with only one publisher to choose from when selecting course books for the coming school year. But FDOE officials, without any explanation, have added textbooks from a second publisher whose learning materials are deemed appropriate for elementary school students. Erie, Pennsylvania-based Big Ideas Learning, LLC, joins Accelerate Learning STEM Scopes as the only two math textbook publishers to get approved by state reviewers. Now, this Big Ideas company, Big Ideas Learning, they have a whole bunch of, dirty terms like equity on their website. So I'm surprised why they picked them after they already, rejected them. I know the educators were afraid that they weren't going to have enough textbooks. But my question is, how did this particular company get chosen? We know, or we suspect that the first one, has something to do with the Carlyle Group. But was there some kind of pay to play by the CEO of this other company in order to get selected at the second school?
I mean, it happened mighty quick, right? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised.
And the thing that Republicans are really good at, or I should say establishment, is how to use a crisis, right? So they manufactured this crisis of CRT and how it's taken over all of our elementary school and all the different children's schools. And they got it popular enough that now they could take action on it. So this is something that they probably had behind the scenes, like, hey, we want to give this Carlyle Group a great contract and get rid of the competition. Oh, here's a CRT gift. Let's use that. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so Rafael Rodriguez in the chat said this is the Carlyle Group, the new Halliburton. They were involved in everything. And they still are probably, but it's crazy. So next article. Delaware State to file formal complaint on racial bias in a Lacrosse bus stop incident. Here's why the team story is so jarring. By Shalise Mansley Young, Yahoo Sports. Now this story is about school. You think a school bus full of lacrosse athletes from college. Nothing weird about that. Why would they even get stopped? Well, it turns out that it was an HBCU, Delaware State. They got stopped, come through good old Georgia, and it was mostly women of color in there. And first they told the bus driver, "Oh, you we're in the wrong lane according to the state law, trucks and buses." Well, that was a lie. Buses like charter bus like that, they are allowed to get on the left lane to pass or whatever. They threaten them. They say, "Hey, if you got any marijuana, whatever." One of the girls had a Christmas gift or a birthday present that was given to them, and they made them open it. She hasn't even seen it yet. They made her open it to see if they had like weed or something in there. And then they were searching them. Afterwards, the sheriff, a black man, but he's really blue, was a cop, said, "Oh, nothing like that happened. I'm support all these my cops, that did nothing wrong." Well, when they show the body camera footage, they did search him when they lied and said they didn't. So now the school is looking for more than an apology, before an apology, but now they really want something to be done. They got contradicting themselves according to the body cameras. So I don't even have a question, Gabe. I mean, where are black young women or any people of color safe from harassment anymore?
The answer is nowhere. The best thing we could do is know our rights. If you know me, I'm extremely passionate about knowing your rights with cops. Don't give them the rights to search you or identify you when they don't. In this case, this is clearly a wrongful stop. If there's no evidence of the team or the people in the vehicle about to commit a crime or currently committing a crime, they have no right to search. Normally they'll give you, "Oh, I smelled weed," which is bad enough on its own because there's no way to prove that. But they didn't even do that here. They didn't even say they smell weed. They just said, "We're looking for it." So these cops should have the book thrown at them. Where are our minorities, black women, people of color safe when it comes to police? Nowhere. And going back to the Democrats, we can't get meaningful police reform from our Democratic president now. And then you want to wonder why 2022 is looking very bleak and why black Americans are not excited to come out and vote, because they came out and voted for Obama twice. Then we got Trump. They didn't come out and vote. And then they came out in droves and drove Biden to get Trump out. And they promised the world. They were promised the world. And what do they get? More of the same. So this is always going to continue to happen until we get some kind of meaningful police reform, until cops, all you do is hold cops accountable to the normal laws. You might not even need new laws. Hold them accountable to the laws as they are. They should both be fired. They search and stop without reasonable articulable suspicion. So hold them to the law now, and it could solve these problems. But we know that they won't.
You know, one of the things that I learned watching was Dr. Ritchie has a YouTube. Well, I think he's on the TYT. But whenever he does stories like this, he makes it know that whenever cops do something wrong, and even if they get caught and they get charged with something, they very rarely charge them with what is it, like going against their oath as a cop. And that is because if they charge them against that, they can't get a job as a cop somewhere else, pretty much. So they're always
if they do that, then what?
You know, they basically saying that they went against their oath of doing their duty as a cop. Instead, they might charge you with something misdemeanors or something else. If you're going against being your duty as a cop, you know, it's harder for them to get a job in another, you know, county or whatever. So they always give them a way out to, you know, to keep on harassing people in another city.
What a way to like have a logic on how to like not prosecute somebody, because if you go to jail, and now there's certain states that they ban the box, you know, the box that says you've been a convicted criminal. You could use that excuse, like in so many states, say, hey, you can't, I just robbed the bank, but you can't charge me because then I won't be able to get a job in the future. You know, it's almost, you guys see what I'm saying? Like the logic behind that is crazy.
Yeah, there was a story where a cop, I think it was a domestic violence case or something.
Yeah.
And the cops went there. It was in LA, I believe. They went in there. Then one of the cops told everybody to leave, and the guy that stayed started masturbating in front of the women there. The sheriff made a big deal after, you know, he was charged or whatever, of walking him out himself out of the, you know, the sheriff's office. But that cop wasn't charged with going against his oath either. So
You know, I was gonna say that, like, I wonder if another reason why they don't do that is because if they had to charge cops every time they went against their oath, there would be no cops.
There would be no cops. Absolutely.
Right. So then once you start using that as a standard, I mean, that could be used for anything that the cops do wrongfully. So I think that's partly part of the reason why they don't do that.
I wish I could remember the statistics, but it might have been like 40%, maybe more, of cops have some kind of domestic violence in their record that they use against them.
Wow.
So it's crazy. But yeah, it's America, baby. Well, it's the world, actually. It's everywhere.
And if you start charging them with everything, then it takes away the things that they can use qualified immunity on. Right now, with qualified immunity, if there's no previous cases that have like your exact situation, masturbating in front of a victim, then, you know, they can get away without it. But as soon as that becomes precedent, the next cop to masturbate in front of somebody will automatically get those issues, and they'll not automatically get convicted, but they won't be able to use qualified immunity as a defense.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's play that video, Bendo. Let's see what's going on there. It's muted, so.
Lacrosse team. How do we go from being in the room late to going through our bags and tripping? All right. Well, he stopped me for a traffic. Well, didn't stop y'all for a traffic violation. He stopped the driver for a traffic violation. Okay. While he's conducting his business, I can bring my dog out for free air. That's what I've done. Dog alert on
The dog alerted. That is another one. It's not I smell marijuana. It's the dog alerted.
The reason why I'm coming on the bus right now is to tell y'all, look, we're gonna check y'all's luggage. Okay? If there is anything in y'all's luggage, we're probably gonna find it. So if there is something in there that is questionable, please tell me now, Because if we find it, guess what? We're not going to be able to help you.
What a piece of trash.
All right, we could. I think we see this we get the picture of what's going on. So
never.
All I gotta say is the last thing on this before we move on is like, thank God for body cams. Like, I'm still amazed at how I would love to read a book or whatever a movie on how it was implemented, because it's something that before body cams, if you told me, oh, we're gonna make cops wear this thing that's gonna protect the citizens or it's gonna reveal the cops' crime, like my cynical behind would be like, hell no, heck no, that's not happening. You know,
Yeah. Well, you know,
body cams will never happen.
They still turn it off when they're not supposed to. They turn it off when they're not supposed to.
Yeah, but
the
there
video,
are times when it works. But go ahead, Carlito.
But yeah, but the video, if it comes out like months and months later, if they ever let it out.
Sometimes years.
They should put in more laws to make it, hey, if a crime happens and you record it, you know, you got your body. First of all, you got to have it. If you don't have it, you got to, you know, fine, you know, suspension.
You don't get paid for that amount of time. Yep.
Yeah, but you got like 48 hours to reveal it to, if not to the public, to maybe like a, you know, oversight commission or something.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason to keep it, you know, secret. There's no reason whatsoever.
100%. I think that all body camera should be go into a cloud, and then over maybe a month, everything should be public. Like in a democracy, we should have as much transparency as possible. And that's one of the things that we should definitely do.
The IT security guy in me is like, not the cloud. Anywhere but the cloud. Don't put it up there. Keep it safe.
It should be public.
It should be public. Yes.
So even if a hacker hacks it, they go and make it public.
No, but they can hack it and delete it.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I see what you're saying.
All right, back it up.
That's my concern. I don't care about them releasing. I care about them deleting.
Well, we gotta have backups.
Don't use Western Digital, man.
We gotta have backups upon backups. Then, in that case,
just put it in the Amazon AWS. You'll be fine.
All right. Much love to All for Nothing. Much love to you. All right, let's move on to. And unless anybody have anything else to say.
That was inside joke because Izzy's having problems with a hard drive from that company.
Yep, my backups are not backed up.
All right, the next story. After Buffalo shooting video spreads, social platforms face questions. Gunmen say they are influenced by online screens and broadcast past shootings. Do social media sites have a responsibility to rein in hateful and violent content? By the New York Times from Kellen Browning and Brian Mack. I mean, that is the question. We've seen how the video has spread already from the recent, you know, another mass shooting in Buffalo by another white supremacist. He said he was radicalized by other former mass shooters. So how much blame, if any, should social media get for these shootings? This is where the future shooters are getting the info from, is it?
So my thing is, I don't want to take anything away from the social media companies. They do have their responsibility here, but we you know, we're old enough. We grew up hearing, you know, these people, these criminals, they do it because of the music, right? And then it was, well, they do it because of the video games, all the violence they see in video games. Now it's, you know, now we're trying to put the blame on social media. And don't get me wrong, there is blame to be had there. I'm no social media fan. I know it causes a lot of problems in this country, but you know, how many other times are we going to blame everything else besides the guns? You know, how are these people always able to get access to these guns in this country and have these mass shootings? I know, you know, Aliyah put, you know, the Christchurch shooting. That's the one that everybody's going to point to, like, well, that wasn't in America. But how often does something like that happen outside of America? So my thing is, why not just target the cause of the problem, the guns?
Yeah, but look what happened. Look what happened there. They immediately took action. They put restrictions on the guns. They didn't wait for the next mass shooting and the next one. You know why? Because they probably don't have a NRA and a bunch of manufacturers based in New Zealand.
Exactly. So my thing is target the guns. Target the gun. Now, when it comes to the social media, yeah, could more be done? Absolutely. You know, in the article they cite YouTube's policies where you can only go live if you have a certain number of subscribers and, you know, a few other criteria. I'm all for that. I would love, even though I don't think it's feasible, I would love to, say like have, like in sports, you have the 7 second delay, or any live TV stream, you have a 7 second delay. Maybe have a delay so that if something does go crazy, they can shut it down before the rest of the public sees it. But then you have to have moderators in place and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I don't, I don't know what the right solution is. The bottom line is that the internet is immediate. So unless you have, well, unless you say you can't have live streaming at all, I mean, it's going to be really hard to stop these things from propagating.
So this basically, we're kind of going into another no cow zone, which is wraps up into this, right, Carlito? This is
Yeah.
the no cow zone you suggested, which is, should social media allow mass murder videos on their platform because of free speech? Or are you saying, yeah, because of free speech, they allow it to happen? So, and Izzy kind of gave his opinion on that. Anybody else?
So before we get into that,
Okay.
there's a section in the article says when users try to flag the content as violating Facebook rules, which do not permit content that glorifies violence, they were told in some cases that the links did not run afoul of Facebook's policies, according to screenshots viewed by the New York Times. Facebook has since started to remove posts with links to the video, and a Facebook spokesman said the posts do violate the platform's rules. Asked why some users were notified that posts with links to the video did not violate the standards, the spokesman did not have an answer. So even when they do have rules, they say like, nah, this is all cool. We know, even though people keep lying and denying it, that social media does have a right wing bias. A lot of times, Facebook in particular, they do not want to take down things that they think is going to bring backlash from right wingers. So, I mean, do the rules even matter if they're going to say like, oh yeah, this video of a mass shooting at a supermarket, yeah, it's not against our rules.
Yeah.
What does it matter if they have rules then?
And this is a comment from Aaliyah. Said, I believe these platforms, when they strip the content of beheadings and gun violence in other countries free for all to view. So is it like what is it called? Snuff videos, like where they actually show? Is that what's going up, Carlito? I just want to be clear.
No, I mean they did take him down. Twitter took him down. I mean everybody took him down eventually.
Okay. So
the
argument is, do they have a right to keep it up?
Yeah, well, the first of all, the first question was, are they to blame for any of the proliferation of this violence that's affecting our culture? Izzy said, we gotta the guns are, first and foremost. The second question is, given that there are, quote unquote free speech absolutists trying to buy social media platforms, should the video just be left up? I mean, it's free speech, just leave them up there.
I think if it's snuff videos where you're actually seeing people die, I know me personally, I wouldn't want to see that. Now maybe you have a disclaimer, for people to click on, but
I mean, it still be left up there though.
That's a good question. I agree with Izzy on not necessarily hitting the social media, but focusing on the guns. Now somebody put in the chat, why focus on the guns? Now I watched a clip today. I thought I clipped it, but maybe I'll put it up later. I was watching MSNBC and it told one of the cops was there with the Buffalo shooting. The shooter was already flagged because when they were in school, they had a project where they said in the project they were going to do a mass murder, a mass suicide murder, meaning he's going to kill people and then kill himself at the end. So this person was already flagged. Cops came to his house to investigate and everything, and then they left him alone. So this is a situation that if we had regulation, we would put him on a list saying that he, mental health or whatever, and he couldn't buy any guns. That's one. Two, there is an invention with guns that you can't pull the trigger unless it has your fingerprint. Like you can only pull the trigger if it goes to your DNA or your fingerprint. So that person, even if the shooter couldn't buy the guns himself and he took it from his parents would be the only person authorized to shoot it. So that's the two regulations that I think that we could focus on the gun side and not on the free speech, social media side of things. What you guys think?
I mean, you know me, I'm all for banning all guns, but if you were gonna do something like that, yeah, I mean, you should already have to take your guns to be registered with a DMV like service, And maybe that's the only time that you can have your fingerprint registered with it too. Like the parents can't just register the fingerprint of the kid. Somebody else in the government has to do it. Then, yeah, that would help. But I mean, there's a lot of people out there that own guns right now that will have their fingerprints registered to them that are going to commit mass murders regardless. So I don't know how much that even really helps.
No, but we also talked. We have talked in the past in the show, right? To also even insurance, right? Making sure that every owner has some type of insurance there, that they have. So there is always ways, but at the end of the day, this is people that target a specific racial group, and with easy, right? It's like, yeah, social media should place the blame, but these people are just they put themselves like that. They actually racist, they went out there with just one specific goal and to target a specific racial group. So, I mean, even if you take social media out, they're still going to find some type of way. So because that's who they are.
So is it
Larry? Go ahead,
red flag law in New York, and that's a law where basically somebody, maybe family member, could petition for a person when a person they might have a depression, mental stability, disability, or something, to basically they get flagged, so they're not allowed to buy a gun. But in this case, from what I read, this guy was cleared. He had the red flag law. They did some kind of investigation. He was clear, so there was nothing to flag anymore. Now you could, maybe think about, okay, how could the law be amended or changed so he could be flagged in the future? But in reality, the red flag law, it looks like it did what it was supposed to do at the time. Maybe it wasn't good enough, but he was flagged, he was cleared, so he wasn't under a red flag anymore. So that's what happened there.
Interesting. Yeah, another thing that I remember from the video is how he got on 4chan and he was bored during the beginning of the pandemic, and that's how he got into those far right discussions, and that's what radicalized him to his views. So I've something that I want to bring up real quick. I heard you guys, or I saw it on TV or on various parts of YouTube where they have a montage of Tucker Carlson talking about this. What is it? What's the thing that he's talking about? Like how they're trying to get rid of all white people
in North Carolina too.
How they're trying to get rid of all the white people and replace. I think a replacement theory.
A great replacement theory, yeah.
Great replacement theory, yeah. So, what you guys think about this? And would Tucker Carlson actually have any repercussion?
Wait, we're calling white supremacy the great replacement theory now?
No. There is such a thing. Like
no, that's what they're calling it. Like instead of calling themselves racist and white supremacists, they're just going with the great replacement theory now.
No. Well, I guess so. But that's their excuse for the white supremacy.
Right.
They're saying that the theory is that basically Democrats are trying to bring in illegal immigrants in order to overtake the white majority and do whatever they want. Tucker Carlson said they're trying to like import voters, change their electorate by bringing in new voters from other countries, and that's the reason for illegal immigration, thus replacing the white power. That's one of the things, and he said it a lot of times. There was somebody wrote a book before that it was cited by who's the guy that was Trump's advisor, Bannon. Like Bannon talked a lot about that. It's basically they want a racial war, pretty much. They want to get rid of everybody that's not white or enslaved.
I think people of color just need to keep doing what they do, be sexy, entice the white people over, start mating with them, and then that way we get rid of them that way. Just everybody mix babies, and that's how we get rid of all white people. We don't even have to import, we just get rid of them through all internal.
All right, so there's a clip I wanted to go to that it was perfect for earlier where we were talking about the disenfranchisement of the Black community. So I want to bring up this clip real quick so we could just discuss it.
Welcome back. And as we've been saying, tomorrow's primary day in North Carolina, too. So what's on voters' minds there as they head to the polls? As part of our County to County reporting project, we are talking to people about exactly that. In Anson, North Carolina, black voters struggling with the impacts of inflation and low wages say they're frustrated with lawmakers in D.C. They say elected leaders are not doing enough to address their urgent needs. NBC News correspondent Antonia Hilton is in Anson County, North Carolina. So, Antonia, talk to me about what you're hearing from these voters about whether they feel like they're being listened to, their issues are being addressed ahead of this primary.
Garrett, people here feel like they've been completely ignored and they are feeling financially squeezed right now. Anson is a rural community close to the border with South Carolina, the kind of place where the plants that used to provide jobs have gone overseas in recent years. So people here tell me they're mostly working low wage jobs and they're seeing the cost of everything around them go up, but their income isn't increasing to meet that. And they don't feel like the Biden administration or even, frankly, leaders here at the statewide level are doing enough to bring them relief. And so many of the voters, particularly black voters under the age of 40 here, tell me that they're not that engaged with the midterms right now. Many of them haven't voted yet early in the primaries and aren't even sure they're going to go out and vote tomorrow because they feel fed up with the entire system. In fact, I spent the day yesterday at a black-owned convenience shop, and the owner there was telling me that his prices have gone up and he's had to leave some of his shelves empty because he can't raise his prices on the people that he serves because they just can't take it. Take a listen to a conversation that I had with one of his patrons there.
People have this agenda where they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But then when they actually get in the seat,
You just have lost trust.
yeah, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because don't nobody never follow through and do what they say they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? They have all these promises. If you vote for me, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this change, I'm going to do this. It never gets done.
Garrett, interestingly, some of the non-voters who I met there yesterday told me that the one issue that might get them re-engaged is abortion. They were aware of the leaked Supreme Court draft. Many of them, while they don't like abortion, say that they do support choice and were concerned about the rollback in women's reproductive rights. And so they were telling me that they may go out and actually re-register to vote and get re-engaged ahead of November if they feel like they can get behind a candidate who they think will take serious action to protect abortion rights. But right now, because of financial issues being their number one concern, they frankly just feel a bit disconnected and disrespected by people who they hope to see act on their behalf sooner. Garrett.
All right. Yeah. So this is just goes right along with that narrative that, you know, the black community, rightfully, I agree with them, are being disenfranchised by the lack of help that they're getting, especially in the poorer community. And you see inflation going up. No help on the horizon. We see the baby formula shortages. No help on the horizon. Like, what are Democrats good for? I know that's like hitting a dead horse, but yeah. Any comments on this?
The executive orders. You know, I don't want to bring it back to that, but like you mentioned in case earlier about running on executive orders. I mean, didn't Biden run on those executive orders that we talked about too from Nina that we would love Nina to run on? He didn't run on student debt cancellation.
No, he didn't run on making it an executive order. He ran on doing it. He would sign it, but he never said, I'm going to make it an executive order where I'll do it unilaterally.
I could have sworn he did. I know he didn't run on, you know, the other two executive orders that we talked about, but I could have sworn he did for the student loan debt.
I wish he did, because he could do it right now. But the fact that his administration, they're having the argument of even if he can do the executive order shows me that he definitely didn't run on doing it. You know what I'm saying?
He ran on canceling 10,000. No,
he ran on. He did, but not making it an executive order. He ran on signing it. He would sign he's waiting for everything to come to him. He's waiting for the House to pass a bill, the Senate to pass a bill, and then when it comes to his desk, then he will sign it into law. But he's not going to unilaterally do it.
Mm-hmm. Yo, now that Gabe is back, you know, I wanted to bring it back a little because I was happily surprised when he joined the show because on the, you know, we had separate conversations about Elon Musk and Brian Twitter and free speech and whatever, and I wanted to hear his take on, free speech absolutist and having this, violent videos up on social media.
I mean, I'm a man of principle, so my free speech stance has never changed. My free speech stance is follow the First Amendment, which means that there's certain limits on free speech and there's certain things that should not be blocked. I think that um, the idea of Elon Musk buying Twitter is scary. He's a billionaire. He has shown himself to have certain flaws when it comes to canceling a blogger's Tesla order. So yeah, so I'm definitely so it's a tough situation. Um, on Elon. You know, I have a lot of admiration for him as a businessman, but then again, I also have a lot of criticism of him as a businessman for some of his workers' policies as well. So it's a really tough thing. I don't think it's a black and white issue in Twitter. I think that Twitter and all social media killed the Hunter Biden story during the election. Is a fact. It happened. They killed it. And
what story?
The Hunter Biden laptop story that came out that they said the laptop.
What story?
But there was
the New York Post story. It was a post from the New York Post, and it was canceled by all of social media.
I really don't want to get into it, but yeah, there was some story there, but it had nothing to do with the election, and it was just being, used as that, as Republicans usually do. Pretty much, that's it.
Hey, Gabe.
So let me ask you something. Since we don't have Gabe here much, and I just want him to count himself. What does the First Amendment have anything to do with Twitter? A private company.
I know what you're saying. I believe that, because the thing is, I don't believe that Twitter and Facebook should be private companies anymore. I believe that they should be treated as public utilities. They could be private companies from ownership, but you can't block somebody from getting a phone. You can't. It's a utility. You can't block somebody from getting electricity. You can't block somebody from getting water to their house. So to me, social media is a new utility, and unless somebody is literally inciting violence,
I can't be on Twitter doesn't mean I can't be on Facebook. Doesn't mean I can't be on Instagram. Doesn't mean I can't be on Trump's social media. So again, I don't understand your case.
I think that there's a lot more openness there, but I mean, as far as comparing a lot of times the utilities are monopolies. When it comes to Twitter, when it comes to Facebook, there is a bit more competition, but still, those are the public square. And if you are blocking people from there, unless they literally are inciting violence, if they're literally inciting violence, the January 6 people, stuff like that, they should be blocked and removed.
But they don't 100%. Want it. Those people that are, Elon Musk stands, they don't think that January 6th thing was even a bad thing to begin with. So this is all a big case of typical right-wing hypocrisy.
I agree.
They just want to say free speech this, free speech that, yet they're going over there and banning books, literally right now. Where's the speech there? So any right winger that comes to me about Twitter, I tell them to shut up.
I absolutely agree with you. I think this is a rare instance, but I 100% agree with you about the Republican hypocrisy, that they have all these principles of free speech, etc., but they'll in the same breath ban books that don't meet whatever they or what they say doesn't meet their beliefs.
And they also talk a lot about corporations are leaving them alone and their people. Well, isn't Twitter's free speech violated by telling them what they have to post?
Absolutely. It's the thing is that it's in the current state, Twitter banning certain people for whatever they feel like is not wrong. It's not illegal. It's what they're doing as a private company. My stance is that they should be treated as a public utility, and that should change what they do.
Yeah, and to maybe meet you somewhere your way. I do agree that the companies could go so far. They are selective in their bans sometimes. Usually, they're worse. Well, most of the time, they're worse against liberals and leftists when it comes to banning. But when that happens, the right wing says nothing. Now, in the case of people like Trump, he was inciting violence. He was putting a lot of misinformation out. He's a habitual line stepper when it comes to lying. So there was plenty of opportunities to ban him, and I got a lot of good reasons to ban him. So saying that you're going to bring them back is just saying that you don't care about the rules in terms of service. You could pick a lot better cases of people that you could bring back that they were, erroneously removed from Twitter. But, Elon Musk is a grifter. He's just trying to get favor from the right wing. Screw him.
It's also the free market. If we believe in a free market, he's doing what he can in a free market within the laws there. I think he's the best owner? I don't know. I think I could be right.
So Twitter. So Elon Musk should be able to do that in a free market and buy Twitter, but Twitter's a public company, or sorry, a public service that should be regulated.
I just said it's two things. I said it's my personal opinion versus the fact of what it is right now. The fact of what it is right now is its own thing. It's a private company.
You love that Elon Musk bought Twitter. You love that he's allowed to do whatever he wants with it, right?
I don't. Hey, I think that it is what it is. I think it's.
I mean, you're all in our chat like how much you love this, and now it should be a utility.
I think
which one is it?
The thing is, I think it's awesome in certain ways, but again, if you're asking me to say, like, I don't know what it's gonna be in 6 months. I think that it should be public utility. I like Elon Musk and the idea of Elon Musk. I support the products that he's built in the past. I think he has a lot of opportunities for improvement as a human, and I think we can. If I had to pick between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk in a lineup, I pick Elon Musk every time. So that's it.
But don't you shop at Amazon every day? But hey, in 30 seconds, in 30 seconds, tell the people what do you mean by man of principle?
He just muted my mic. Oh wow, I'm being canceled. The host just muted my mic.
My bad. I muted your mic. Now go ahead. You can talk.
When I say I'm a man of principle, I'm a man of principle that says I don't want to block free speech if it goes within the First Amendment. I don't want to block it. If it's speech I don't like, if it's speech I don't agree with. I think, for example, the white right-wing radicals that are against Roe versus, they can be against Roe versus Wade, and we could be for protecting a woman's right to choose. So I don't think that we should ban them from Twitter because they are pro-choice. I think it's a battle of ideas, and I think our good ideas should win.
All right. So as we end up, unless you got anything more to grill Gabe,
I think Gabe has said no.
We could do an episode in a few weeks. We could do an episode in a few
weeks. There's nothing to grill him on. He said everything.
He said, I'm a man of principle. I like Elon, but I shop at Amazon every day.
That's old.
What's this? Go ahead.
We are at a rally for Mastriano, but we've been told multiple times that media is not allowed.
Can you please shut down your hands?
What's the First Amendment? There was a situation between Peter Costa and this gentleman dressed as the Robert Costa. Excuse me. Explain to me. There was a situation today with the press here. What happened with that?
There was no situation. We just were trying to keep the press behind the curtains.
Oh, gotcha.
That's all. No more, no less.
Why was the press not allowed into the event today?
Not that they weren't allowed. This is a private event.
Do you work for the Mastriano campaign?
I'm just letting you know that's. I do have a job to do here.
Talking to somebody dressed as like a town crier, I guess you could say, has the bell. There we go.
What's the point of this?
What's the context around this?
Yo, he reminds me of I guess Narwhal.
You gonna do another one?
We are at a rally for.
All right, so Bendo, come on, you got to tell us about this. What's the context behind this thing?
It was a good laugh.
On TikTok.
That's on TikTok.
Okay. All right, let's put on the music. Let's end the show. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Gabe, much love to you. Thank you for coming through, my man. Hope you had fun. Let me go around the horn one last time. Carlito.
Man, I have so much more I wanted to say, but let me just say that everybody was complaining about the Supreme Court leaks that have been leaked before.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Put the music down because I can't hear Carlito. Go ahead, Carlito.
Everybody complaining about the Supreme Court leaks are hypocrites because there have been leaks before, and probably some of them, like Kavanaugh when he was working for wasn't it Star when they investigated Clinton. That report was leaked. There was other report leaks after that, and they're a bunch of hypocrites. And Clarence Thomas talking crap about that. Now you can't trust the court. It's a breach of trust, and people should just live with the consequences. Well, why is he not telling his wife to live with the consequences of the election?
100%. Great one on the way out. John, what's up?
Gabe is not a man of principle.
Bendone, the producer.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, Izzy.
Case, you need to come back as the producer. That's all I gotta say.
All right, Big Gabe, on your way out, man.
The word of the week is a gish gallop. You guys got to Google it. That's what the crew is doing to me today. But I'm always ready to go hard in the paint. I love you guys. I'll be back soon.
Is that a snuff thing?
Was that?
That's a snuff thing.
A snuff thing? No, it's not a.
Are you a masochist?
Google it. Google it.
Let me give love to the chat. All right, let me give some love to the Patreon members: Pedro Hernandez, Nancy Venture, PJ, Chris, and Akipasha Kita. Thank you, Aaliyah, for coming through. I know Mia's out there somewhere. Rafael Rodriguez, Gamer for Life. Thank you for coming through. All for Nothing. Rafael Rodriguez, Ray, Charlotte, Ray. I've seen that name. I never saw it before. So much love for coming through. The Urban Progressive. And there's so many more people out there. Can't name everybody. But the last thing I'm going to say is on Elon Musk, I have zero faith that he's going to do anything substantial. I don't think he's going to, like, my account is behind a disclaimer right now for no reason. So if he changes that, I'll give him all the credit in the world. But as of right now, I have zero credit.
I'll give him a little bit of credit. I don't know about all the credit.
I'll give him credit, but if he does what he did in the past, which is he went after somebody at their job, he doxed them. We went and talked to their boss. Anyway, there's so much stuff we could talk about. Much love to everybody. Thank you for coming through. See y'all next Monday. Adios. Peace.